I funded my sister's entire dream. The day she called me jealous for it, I closed every door. My sister Vera had wanted to open a ceramic studio since she was 19 years old. I knew this the way you know the oldest things about the people you grew up alongside, not because she said it constantly, but because it was simply always there, a fixed point in her personality that everything else organized itself around. She took classes when she could afford them, collected equipment slowly, filled every available surface in every apartment she ever lived in with pieces she had made by hand. The talent was genuine. I want to be clear about that because it matters. Vera was genuinely gifted, and the dream was not delusion. It was a real thing that deserved to exist in the world. What it needed was capital. Studio rental, kiln equipment, materials, the months of runway required before a small creative business finds its footing. Vera had the skill and the vision and none of the financial foundation. I had spent 6 years building a career in software that had, by my early 30s, generated savings I had not yet decided what to do with. The decision felt obvious to me at the time. I offered to fund the first 2 years in full. Not alone. I was explicit about that because I did not want money to become a mechanism of control between us. A gift freely given because she was my sister, and the dream was real and I could afford it, and those three things together felt like sufficient reason. The studio opened on a wet Thursday morning in April, and it was genuinely beautiful. Vera had designed the space with the same care she brought to everything she made, spare, warm, full of considered light. I stood in it on opening day and felt something uncomplicated and good, which is a feeling I do not take for granted. The complications arrived gradually. Within 4 months, Vera had hired an assistant she could not yet afford and extended her lease on a storage space without mentioning it to me, which I would not have objected to had she mentioned it, but which she had not. She began asking for additional transfers, modest amounts individually, accumulating into something significant, collectively. I sent them. I told myself a business finding its feet requires flexibility, and that rigidity about money I had offered freely was beside the point. What shifted my thinking was not a financial request. It was a conversation at a family dinner, 8 months after the studio opened, at which a cousin asked Vera how the business was going, and Vera gave a long, warm, detailed answer about her vision and her craft and the community she was building. And at no point in the answer, not once, in perhaps 4 minutes of speaking, did she mention that any of it had been funded by anyone other than herself. I sat with that for several weeks. I examined it from multiple angles. I tried to construct a generous interpretation and found I could. Partially, public acknowledgement of financial help is complicated, and people navigate it differently, and I had not given the money in order to be credited for it. I knew all of that. What I could not construct a generous interpretation of was what happened the following month. When I mentioned, quietly and privately, that I was finding the open-ended nature of the additional requests difficult to plan around and asked if we could agree on a clearer structure going forward. Vera's response was immediate and sharp. She said I had always had a complicated relationship with her success. She said that people who gave gifts without strings did not then attempt to administer those gifts. She said, with a precision that suggested she had been holding it ready, that my need to insert myself into her achievement was a form of jealousy she had been patient about for long enough. I did not respond with equivalent sharpness. I finished the conversation and drove home and sat in my kitchen for a long time. The following morning, I contacted my bank and canceled the standing transfer. I sent Vera a single message that was 3 sentences long. I told her I wished the studio every success. I told her I would not be sending further funds. I told her I hoped she found the clarity she needed. She called 4 times over the following week. I let each call go. The messages moved through indignant and arrived eventually at something closer to frightened, which is what happens when the financial reality of an undercapitalized business becomes suddenly unobscured by someone else's generosity. I have not reopened the funding. I have not responded to the messages. I have referred the matter, in my own mind, to the part of me that knows the difference between helping someone build a dream and being quietly erased from the building of it. Those are different things. They deserve different responses. The studio is apparently still open. I hear this through family and receive the information neutrally. Vera is talented and the dream was always real, and I genuinely hope it survives. I simply will not be the one paying for it.